Hello, and welcome back to She's in Focus, the podcast dedicated to inspiring and empowering female filmmakers and videographers from all walks of life and on every step of their creative journey. I'm your host, Kel Grant, an aspiring filmmaker from New Jersey who's just trying to turn my passion into something more and connect with amazing women who have the same passion for video. One of those being Melissa Erickson from Long Island, New York. She's a senior creative designer at a tech startup, and she owns a real estate photography business, and she freelances as a graphic designer where she helps build brands. She's been working in the arts since 2015 and is a triple threat with graphic design, photography, and videography. Today, she's here to share her story of how being fearless and never giving up can yield great results. Melissa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kel. I'm so excited to be on this podcast. I think what you're doing is great. So.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you and to be part of the female filmmaker community. But let's start off by saying you are a triple threat, with graphic design, photography, and videography. What would you say was your first love? What out of the three of those came first?
Definitely the graphic design. So, I was actually in high school still, and I took a class. It was like a new class. It was just like a random computer class where they introduced like Photoshop and a bit of video too, and I was like, I'm definitely into this. Like, this is definitely what I want to do. Obviously, the projects were like creative, like unrealistic, like a soup box. I remember I made of like Yoshi.
Yeah.
It was just like crazy stuff, but I definitely that's where it sparked. And then from there, I went to a community college for 3 years. That kind of was like 13th grade. Didn't really, I just got my feet wet, I feel like, with that. So I got my associate's degree, and then I went to Farmingdale State College, which is here on Long Island. And that really propelled me, like, design-wise. And it didn't really click for me until I'd say about halfway through those 3 years to get my bachelor's, because I don't know, I just don't know what it was. Something just clicked one day, and I just really started to put in the effort. Like, and my classmates noticed too. They were like, "Wow, this is like amazing. Is this what you did?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know what happened, but it just finally like came to me, And I think that's with anything. If you put in the work and time, eventually you will master that field, and that's what I did. So, um, after that, I just started, getting better at it, and just grew from there.
That's amazing. So you had kind of like an aha moment, like it just clicked for you, and you started really, I guess, not only taking it seriously, but just really, being able to translate your creative ideas to the page or the program or what have you. And your classmates were starting to notice that progression and that switch. I'm sure that was very encouraging for you, kind of that validation, that external validation of others saying, yeah, like this is really good. Because in the arts, I feel like it's really hard to have kind of an objective opinion on your own work when you put so many hours into it, especially something like graphic design, where there's, it's such a particular niche and industry where,
Right.
you can give the same project to 100 different graphic designers, and 100 different products will come out of that.
Mm-hmm.
So did that help you along your journey, that external validation from your peers?
Yeah, it definitely, like I said, it once that happened, I like gained confidence, and from there it was just like history. Like, that was it. So.
Right. Okay. So you went from graphic design, and you said you were introduced a little bit to photo and video, but how did you really begin to implement photo and video after, working in graphic design for quite some time?
So they did make us take, like, I think it was two photography classes in that field. So that kind of introduced me to it. So, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. It
Mm-hmm.
was so bad. Like, it was so bad. We had to, like, do rollers, and I remember, like, I couldn't figure it out. And I, like, photoshopped the background to, like, make it move. And the professor was so nice about it. He's like, yeah, but she couldn't get it, but she put in the effort. And I was like, yeah.
Right,
So,
right.
like, but it took me a long time to even get the photo stuff down because I didn't understand aperture exposure. It like confused me for the whole semester. Um, but I was, I passed. I got interested in it. Like we did cool things in that class too. But I started doing it on the side. So my ex-boyfriend had an auto body shop, and I don't know. He needed like help promoting it, so I just was like, I'm gonna just start making some videos. Like, why not? Cause like he had cool cars there, and I was like, I don't know. I just wanted to do it. I don't know why. Like, what came over me, but
Right.
I just like dove in, and the first video didn't come out so great. But after a while, like, I started doing more and more, and I was looking back at them, and I just have to laugh because I put so many effects, like
Oh.
OD,
Yeah.
OD, like just the craziest stuff, like unnecessary. And I'm looking back at it, I'm like, oh my god, this is embarrassing. But I mean, as time went on, it got less and less, and I realized like, stop doing that. But definitely was a learning process. I probably did at least like 4 or 5 total for him, and we had to make like a website for our portfolio for school, so I put them on there. um and then we had to present like our senior project for school, which I did like a WordPress website. But for our expo, they invited like a bunch of like job people, recruiters. So I had all my stuff set up, and then next to it I had my resume, my portfolio. So they would come by and just like, give a resume out. So while I was there, I actually like landed an interview, and I was so excited because I was like, panicking, like, what am I gonna do after I graduate?
Of
Because
course, naturally.
it's like graphic design is so competitive, and even back, when I was graduating, I looked around me and just the competition, like I saw what I was competing with, and I'm like, oh my god, this is difficult. It's a hard field to break into because it's anybody could really learn Photoshop. You could just go on YouTube and figure it out. But
Right.
so I remember like walking into that office for the interview, and I remember seeing on the table other graphic designers like leave behinds, like their portfolios and stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, there's no way like I'm gonna get this job. Like I knew what I was up against. So my boss, he was like, I'm kind of looking for somebody that could do graphic design but also video and photo, and I was like the only person that had that.
Yeah.
So that's really what led me to get that job and like beat everybody from my class, because I was just like, it was just crazy. So if I never made those videos, he wouldn't have picked me. So I think that, you have to do your passions, but also think to yourself like, is this going to help me, in the long run? And it did. So I think, just if you do a lot of things and just focus, it's just gonna work out, which it did. So um, that job was like, it definitely was hard. I mean, I had 3 job titles. It was very like cutthroat. It
Hmm.
was it was rough. Like my boss was he would take things, not very well. So I mean, I did learn a lot very quickly because it was just like a media company where you just like pumped out everything, like everything under the sun there. Like
Yeah.
I did commercials, I did logos, websites, like business cards, um, portraits, and we had so many different clients. It was like law clients, we had restaurants, carnivals, like literally everything. There was nothing that we didn't have. So it was just me, mind you, like doing all the things. Like, and I was the only
Wow.
person. I was the only person. I had a creative director, which helped me with the design part, but I was the only person running like the video and the photo part. So, and I didn't really like have that much experience because like I said, I just did the videos from my ex-boyfriend, and that was really it. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, like I need to just step this up because he expected everything to be perfect, and I was like not ready for that pressure. So I would go home and like have to YouTube stuff for the next day, like because I didn't know what I was doing. Like I had um like a green screen video, right, that he wanted for this client, and he was, I don't even know, he like flew in and he was like speaking Portuguese for this commercial, right? Which like didn't help at all. Like, I don't know. And so I had to figure this whole thing out on my own, like how to, which green screen paper to buy, the stand, and then I had to like YouTube like how to set it up, how to get the camera with the zebra setting, and like all this stuff. And I'm like panicking because I only like a few days to figure it out. And then on top of that, it's like, yeah, I have to do After Effects. I have to learn how
Wow.
to take out the green screen. Yeah, it was I was panicking, but honestly, it worked out. It actually worked. I figured it out. The client was happy, and thank God. Like, but that's just an example of like what I had to go through. Like I would go home, YouTube all night, like things, and my boss knew this, and she was like, well, she's putting in the effort. Like, this is, without me, there would be no video department or photography there. But it honestly was very diverse in what I had to do for each thing. Like I would be at a junkyard one day filming a commercial, and then I'd be at a carnival, and then I'd be at like a restaurant. So I mean, it was just never ending, and I loved it in a sense because like I never got bored. Like the design, you're sitting in an office all day, like you're just like, like behind a computer. Like I loved getting out and filming and just like it was basically my dream job. But the only part was it was like it was just very too much for me because like I said, I was doing everything on my own, and at just one point it just got way too much, and I wasn't like getting paid what I was worth because like I said, it was my first job out of college. So eventually I moved on. I got a regular job just doing graphic design for like a promotional products company. Um, and that was okay. I did miss the video aspect of it and the photo aspect, but luckily, an old coworker reached out to me and he asked me to do a real estate shoot. And it was kind of like perfect timing because like I had the equipment and I had the experience at that point to kind of know. I never did a house shoot with them, but I at least I knew kind of like what I was doing in a sense.
Right. You had more
Um,
of a foundation.
right, like I wasn't just going in blind because I think he saw I was doing photo and then reached out. Um, So I did a house for him and that went well. But I didn't hear back. Like it was just like a one-time thing, right? And I didn't really
Hmm.
think anything of it in the moment. I didn't think like I would be doing this. But time went on and then he reached back out, I think a couple months later to do another one. And same thing, it wasn't really anything serious. And then he recommended me to this other guy. He was like a house flipper. Um, and then that led him to recommending me to this other realtor, and that's the guy that is like most of my business to this day. So I think it's, you know if you get one good client, you'll be okay. if you really connect with somebody, because the other two were they just kind of do it like on the side, like they're not pumping out houses.
Mm-hmm.
And my favorite thing about this one realtor is I do everything for him. Like I did his website, his logo. I just made him door hangers. So he's definitely he knows my skills and he utilizes me for everything. And every time I shoot a house, I update his website. I put the house on there. So I kind of like that part, like that I'm totally involved in all aspects, which is kind of like that triple threat you said.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
interesting hearing you tell your story. It sounds like that's always been the thing that stood out about you to potential clients, and the gig that you have now. I am hearing that that's like your dream kind of spot to be in, getting to be utilized in all of those areas. But what I'm also hearing is you were utilized in all of those areas at the media company in your first gig, but maybe it came, too soon had you
Hmm.
because you didn't have like the foundation. But now that you have the foundation, you're able to thrive in this space. And
Right.
I'm a big believer that, everything happens for a reason and timing is really important. And even though you might have had kind of a lot of pressure and stress and a negative experience at that media company, had you not had that, maybe you wouldn't have had to learn the skills as quickly because that
Right.
pressure, it put a, for lack of a better term, like flame under your ass about
Hmm.
having to learn
Yeah.
all of these things because there were real paying clients behind it. And it's just interesting to me that the boss of the media company knows that you're coming right out of college at that point, knows that you don't have a whole lot of experience, but yet trust you and you alone to run all of the video, photo, and work in the graphic design team as well.
Hmm.
I just don't know if that's, I mean, I'm glad that you had that experience because like I said, you got so many skills from it, but I don't know if I'm a business owner, if that's like a good business decision for me.
Probably
You know what I
not.
mean?
It was too much, but I liked it. It was just too much at once.
Yeah, I could imagine, but yeah, I think the pressure can be a great motivator for us. It's just finding a good amount of pressure because there's always some level of pressure when you're working with clients because there's a brand on the line, there's money on the line. But then there's other pressure and that's okay to put pressure kind of on a project, but it sounds like the pressure at the media company was more putting pressure on your ability and your capabilities. You know what I mean? Like putting the
Right.
pressure
Like.
on needing to know the skills to be able to do the job. Now you know you have the skills to do the job. It's just the pressure of the size of the project or the deliverable that you have to add. So they're a bit different. But I am curious to know how does each we're going with this triple threat analogy here.
Hmm.
How does each part of this triplet here inform the other? Because I'd imagine that being a graphic designer or being a photographer in some ways makes you a better videographer. Would you find that to be the case?
I think so. I mean, it kind of relates in a sense because I did have like my one friend create a video for me, and I'm like, what font are you using? Like on this
Yeah.
video, I'm like, no, get this off here. So I mean, it definitely does play a key role. Especially if I'm adding like a footer graphic or any type of graphic, I always keep that in mind. So.
You have an eye for it too. Because
Mhm.
there are some things because I've seen videographers that do an amazing job with the video and the actual filming, but put it into Premiere and they're slapping on these cheesy templates with terrible fonts. And
Mhm.
it's like, how can you know that this is a great video, but then you ruin it with all these effects? Kind of like you were saying with the first video you made, you're adding all these
Yeah.
transitions, adding all these effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you think at the time, this is how it's going to enhance it. But then I guess you learn how to enhance your film in other ways. And yeah, graphic design. Just a quick aside, it's not something that I appreciated and graphic designers, not
Mhm.
people I appreciated until I tried to do things myself and I got the opinion of other as of others and graphic designers, because I am a big utilizer of Canva. And I don't know if you have feelings towards this because you're a graphic designer, but you know, when I first started my YouTube channel, I was putting everything in Canva. I thought it would be so cute to use these, you know, the Bitmojis from Snapchat. I thought it'd be so cute if that was my icon, if that was my logo. So I wish I had a picture to show you, Melissa. I'll send it to you after the episode. The cheesiest, my colors were bright purple, and bright turquoise, like a teal, with this Bitmoji character. I had 3 fonts in my design.
Oh my God.
It was a mess. And I didn't know something like that looked terrible because, like I said, it's really hard to have an objective opinion when you're creating it and you think it looks fine. But when you get a professional opinion, or when you have an outsider look at that, like, did you really put those 3 fonts together in these 3 different colors and think it was fine? Then you don't know. So I'm starting to, you know what, the She's in Focus logo I think could use some help. So I'm definitely going to be calling on your services soon to help me with that. Yeah.
I got you.
Awesome. So I'm curious to know what your creative process is like, because with all of these talents that you have, with the triple threat thing going on, I'm imagining that your brain is just flooded with creativity all the time, because you're not only thinking about, you know, the images, like moving images, you're also thinking about still images, and then you're also thinking about designs and fonts and text. So what's that creative process like for you when you're working on a project?
Well, it depends on what the project is. Really, if it's more graphic design based, obviously I'll have to think about it a lot. Like today, for my main job, like I create like display ads, and that requires definitely a lot of thinking and like piecing it together. I think that's always the thing with me. I'm like, you know that saying, like, it's always impossible until it's done. Like that's literally me every day. Because I'm like how am I gonna make this look good, you know? And then at the end of the day, I'm like, damn, this looks good. So right. I think it just takes a lot of thinking. Like people just throw a whole bunch of like information at you. You have to decipher it and be like, okay, I'm gonna include this. Like this makes sense. Like this image is good. I'm gonna, you know, brighten this one up. And you kind of just like think in your head like how to make a story that makes sense and also make it look good and not overcrowd a design. I think for video it's a bit different as far as thinking about it. It's more like hands-on. I think for the real estate, for me, I've done it a few videos now, and I kind of have like a creative like process down of like how I want the video to go, and I even had to like tell people like this is how I want it shot, this style, this way. Like it'll start off with like behind a bush or something, and then you're like coming out, and then you have to do like the door thing, and then you have to, if they have like a chandelier or something, like you gotta like go up. Like it's just, I don't know, like I came up with my own look,
style,
how I want the videos done. But I think it just takes time and your own thoughts, you know, like your own style, and then you could just brand yourself from there. I think it's being consistent too plays a big part. Like, don't make one video this way and then like the other one's completely different. Right. So
that's interesting to hear you say that. Would you say that because you were talking about storytelling before, I never realized that there might be a storytelling aspect to graphic design. Would you say that there is?
Yeah, I think definitely, like, it has to make sense. Like I said, you have to definitely think more, like, this is all this information, like, this is the most important thing, like, this is the call to action. Well, I don't think that tagline works. I think it should be short. Like, I've learned recently too, like, it's not really what is written on paper from the client. Like, yes, they'll give you like, this is what I want on my business card, but then I'm thinking like, maybe you don't need all this on there. Like, it would look better like this. And if I do certain things now and take certain things out and like visually think what I looks think what looks best on it,
Mm-hmm.
they don't say anything. They're like, oh, this looks great. Like, they don't even mention it. So I think it's more of like not just going by the book, and more of like thinking visually, like this is what makes sense.
Right. So there's also not just the creative part of it. It's the logical side of it as well. Because
Right.
I'm sure when you're creating, you have to think of it not only as the designer, but as the consumer of what you're creating too.
Exactly. Like you can't give me, and so many people do this, like a whole document full of stuff they want in this design. I'm like, no.
Right,
Like
right.
you're ruining it. Like you're just ruining it. So you have to cut it down all the time. Just say like half of what they want, because people don't like white space. They
Yeah.
don't. They just want to crowd everything on this, like whatever it is, and I'm like, no, minimal.
Right. I feel like
So
half the job of a graphic designer is an educator, just educating your client on, because it's always, they come in with what they think they want, but then you
mhm,
have to interpret that and, deliver what they actually want,
right.
which is an ad that's effective or something. And they might think like, oh, I need all of this in here. But if they saw that, if you put to action exactly what they wanted and they saw that product, they would hate it. But
Yeah,
they need you
exactly.
to tell them that. Yeah.
Right. I know it would be, if I did exactly what they said all the time, it would just be trash.
Right.
So
Yeah, your portfolio wouldn't be very good if that were the
no.
case. So what do you love about graphic design?
I just think like taking an idea from somebody and creating it, and then looking at it and saying this is great, and then giving it to them to see, and then seeing their response, like that just makes me so happy. Like when a client loves what I did and I help their brand grow and just visually look appealing, it just brings me so much joy, because I see stuff all the time when I'm out at a restaurant. Like I'll be looking at a menu and I'm like, who designed this?
Yeah.
Like I'm so like judgmental about everything I see. It's
Right,
just how
right.
you think when you're a designer. Like you're constantly like just judging everything, like websites, but it's just never ending possibilities, because obviously every day like new businesses are coming about, and there's so much opportunity in it, I think, especially now. So
Especially with, not only are there new businesses being formed, but a rebrand for a business can do wonders for a
right.
company. Rebranding whether that's your logo or your colors. Like, people underestimate the value of a great logo or a
There you go.
great color palette. I mean, you think of all the famous brands, like the Nike swoosh can be identified in every country, every continent, everywhere in the world, because of that amazing branding and just the design. So it's
Hmm.
yeah, it's a lot more than just the actual like art too. It's the message behind it, it's brand recognition, and I think you help build that for businesses. Do you find photo and video to be just as fulfilling in that way as graphic design?
Yeah, I definitely love like editing photos. I forgot to mention this in the beginning. When I started doing like the car videos, I was also doing photography of a bunch of cars, and I just like went to town on that. Like I would just go crazy. Like I would make the car like look lower than it was. Like
Oh,
just doing
interesting.
crazy stuff. Yeah, like I'd
Yeah.
change the colors and stuff. I'd Photoshop out the sky. Um, so I think I was just doing that out of like just for fun. But
Mhm.
honestly, that helped me to this day. Those skills, swapping out skies, I use that now for the real estate. So
Of course.
if you're just doing stuff because you find it fun, like it could help you one day, and that's what it did for me. But yeah, I do the editing part. Like it's definitely fun to me, because like I'll go out on these shoots for the realtors, and like it's it's always just an adventure every single time. Like the house is never really ready, if you know
Of
what I
course.
mean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so there's just a lot going on every single time, and he'll literally tell me, he'll be like, can you Photoshop that out? could you add like a
Did you
fire
prepare
in the
that in post?
fireplace? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like taking mental notes in my head, like, okay, all right. So I mean, to others it might be like a tedious thing, but to me, I love doing it. Like, I'll have to Photoshop. I mean, depending on the shoot, a lot of different stuff. Like, there'll be a router on the floor. The grass I do every single time. So I like to keep a consistent look for the photos of the exterior.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely spend a lot of time editing those. Like, I'll make sure the sky swap's perfect. I always put grass on every single photo, like fake grass. Um,
Wow.
yeah, and it's just there'll be like things that you wouldn't even think of that I'm photoshopping, like the driveway I have to make darker. Like he's just like he like abuses me to a sense because he knows I'm so good. He's like, does that garage look a little dirty to you? I'm like, yeah, okay. I just have to do like everything, but he knows like I'm so good at it that I could just easily Photoshop it out. And I show people like my friends, and they're like, how the heck do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
it's, and I thought to myself one day, like, I wanted to make like tutorial videos on how to edit out like just common stuff like wires, how to add grass, how to make the driveway darker. And I did make one, believe it or not. This was like the worst thing ever. It was snowing, right? And he goes, can you like Photoshop out all the snow?
No way.
So yeah, I remember it was like Super Bowl Sunday the next day, right? So it was, I took it the day before, and it was Super Bowl Sunday, and I had to edit all the snow off this house, and it's on the roof, it's on everything. I had to take a drone shot, so it's like even worse. It's like in the backyard, on the pool, and I like wanted to cry. I remember I'm like, there's
Oh
no
my
way.
goodness.
I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way I could do this. So I spent like, I only think I edited maybe one or two, and I actually figured it out, and I posted it, the edit, on TikTok, and it went like viral. Everyone was like, how the heck did you do this, blah blah blah. I'm just like, I don't even know, I could do it again, but it was just the same thing. Like I said, like it always seems impossible until it's done type
Yeah.
thing. And that's kind of, I wouldn't recommend doing that though. Like I've seen other ones on Zillow where they attempted to take away the snow, and I'm like, all right, I guess he's not the only crazy realtor asking for this stuff.
Right, right.
Because they're just insane. So.
Well, I mean, you must love it enough because you launched your business, your videography business, around real estate. So
Mhm.
let's talk about that journey a little bit. At what point did you launch your business, and what drove you to do that, to make that decision?
So, I started doing the real estate, I think it was like late 2018. In 2019, I just did a whole bunch of like, house shoots. I was just doing like photos.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until like late 2019 where he asked me to do a video. And I was like, I'm not going to charge you because I don't really know what I'm doing. Like, this isn't going to be something spectacular.
Yeah.
And the first one I did, it just came out not good because the house was like super small. It was dark out when we did it.
Mm,
And I didn't really have like enough time to do it. It was like a trial one. So
okay.
that one was just like, write off. And then I did another one for him. Um, but then I like noticed, because I didn't really have much equipment at the time. I just had like the basis, my camera, the wide angle lens, and like stand lights. That's really
Mm-hmm.
all I had. And I had a video tripod though, because I had a video tripod from that media job, and I like fell in love with this tripod. I'm like, I need to just buy this same tripod, even though
Yeah.
it was like super heavy, and I'm like, I can't, I can't lift
You're
it.
lugging
But
it around, right?
but I was actually able to like pan and like take video that way. Um, so I did that for that video, and then I think time went by, and that's when COVID hit. So he asked me to do a third video for this other house, and this was like right when COVID hit. Like nobody was like around. I was by myself in this house, and I was like, thank God I have a house shoot because I was like so bored. sitting in my house, so I just needed to get out, and I had this
Yeah.
whole house to myself, and it was like beautiful, and I'm just like dancing in there with like music. But I did the video for that one, and I think at that point I realized like this is kind of looking a little security camera footage type, like the panning. It was just like I don't know. I
Right.
know at that point I noticed I was like I should probably just step it up at this point if people are gonna keep asking, and like obviously COVID happened, so like videos are gonna be even more needed.
Yeah.
So I had another video. This was through not him, somebody else, like a friend of mine. His parents were selling their house, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a gimbal for this one, and you can see it right there sitting. But
Yeah.
um, I I think I ordered it like pretty, I don't know, like a week, and then I had like a couple days to learn it before the shoot, and I was like panicking. I was like, oh my god, like I don't know, like I thought I was gonna be able to just learn it in like a day, but
Right.
that was like not the case at all. It took me a couple times to like get used to it and like practice with it. But I got it down, and for that shoot, I kind of was like, I told him I was like, listen, I'm not 100% on this. I'm still gonna do a little bit of the tripod, and I'm gonna use that too. So did that, and it came out better. It definitely got attention. He told me the house sold like the next day or something. I was like, oh great, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So from there, um, I think that I had that video posted. I was actually like feeling good now about what I was producing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he recommended me to this other like family friend of his that was also selling their house, and that one was like a beautiful, like I wish I could have bought this house myself. It was so unique. It was like an octagon, like something I never saw before, just like crazy. It was like on the water. So I knew in my head I was like I need to just make sure this video is like perfect for them,
Yeah.
because this would be like an amazing portfolio piece.
Of course.
So and at the time it was a one man show. It was just me doing everything. So I did all the photos, all the video,
That's a lot
but
of
I was
work.
still well, yeah. I they actually were nice enough to let me do it in 2 days. So I came back like a week
Good.
later. But I noticed like when I was shooting the outside, I didn't have like my settings perfect. So I was like, oh crap! Like obviously I need to make sure that I have everything set, because it was like in extreme condition like for the video that day, because it was so bright and I didn't have like an ND filter. So
Mm.
I had a, and you have to like set the shutter speed exactly how it's supposed to be, and I'm like, oh my god, like so. I learned a lesson there. But I went back the next time, and I was like, able to get more video. Um, and once I did that video, and got that posted, like that one just was my favorite piece ever. Like I literally put in, mind you, each one of these videos I've done, it basically was an all-nighter. Like
Wow.
I would spend so much time editing these, because like I kind of like just didn't know. I just overshot. I took so many clips, and I had to go through them, and I would pick out the best ones, and like it just took me a long time to edit versus other people, and it still does to
Yeah.
this day. Like I don't, I guess that's like my weak point, is just like putting a video together. Like so, each time was an all nighter, which sucked, but it was worth it in the end, because I wanted to put out something that I was completely proud of, that was perfect, like perfect in my eyes. And so that one got the attention of another realtor. Um, that one basically just like blew up. Like it was such a nice video, and from there I started getting like more and more clients. Like my Instagram was growing. So I think at that point was where I was kind of like, I should just really start making this a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I made the Instagram, I started posting on there. Um, and then like right after that shoot, I got contacted for like two others. So I'm working full time. I'm doing graphic design on the side. I'm doing all this, and I'm getting slammed. This is like now summer of COVID, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like full blown panic mode, like so stressed out. I didn't know what to do with myself because I'm like, I'm not gonna say no to all these opportunities,
Right.
and I'm just like panicking. I'm like, I'm a one man show. I'm getting these $1 million houses at this point, and I'm trying to do everything. And I just was like, I need to figure something out, you know, quickly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I I shot like it was almost $2 million this house, and this lady found me on Instagram. I know it was a glorious moment,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
she found me on Instagram, and I was like, all right, I'll do your house for you, not expecting it to be like a $2 million house.
Right.
So I was there literally all day doing. I was exhausted doing
I'd
the
imagine.
photo, the video, the drone, like everything. And I think at that point, like I was like, I just really need help. I
Yeah.
can't do it all. Like I either need to quit my job or like figure something out. So I knew a lot of photographers from like the cars industry because there's like a lot of car photographers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to somebody I saw and I was like, oh, I see you do videos, and he did a couple like real estate, and I was like, would you be interested in helping me out? And he said yeah, and I was like, great, this is amazing. Like, he came to me on my shoot, did the drone, like helped me out, and I was like, this is amazing. What can happen if you just simply notice, your connections, your followers, and just send a message, just see what they say, because if I didn't find him, I would be like still scrambling. Um,
Yeah.
and that definitely was a big help, knowing now that I have somebody that can help me, and I also have somebody else now where if I can't make it to a shoot, I could reach out to him and he'll definitely help out. So, both of those people were just my followers. Like I didn't know them. I just reached out and I was like, hey, this is what I do. Are you interested? And they said yeah. So I mean, it's as simple as that. Like, you don't know until you ask.
Right, right. And now you have yourself a team.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not as stressed now, and I have a process down of like how I edit, and if I am doing a video, normally I'll just send it to him to do because I know he's quick. Like, he does weddings for a living.
Mm-hmm.
So there still might be a case where I'll have to do a shoot, but it's good to have a team at this point.
Right. But you're still managing your full-time job with
Yeah.
your videography business for real estate. Are you still also doing freelance graphic design as well?
Yes, yes. That picked up a lot this year somehow. I don't even know how. Like, I have a lot of automotive like followers and friends, and like this one guy, like I did his logo, business cards, like a flyer, and he just like constantly gives me referrals. So that kind of led to like more and more. And then I get like random calls now from people, and I'm like, how did you find me? And and they're
Power of
like,
the
oh,
internet. Yeah.
that's what I was like so confused because I had my website up for like since I graduated, and I never got calls. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm asking them, they're like, yeah, I found you on Google, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So it's that obviously works. It's I didn't think that after all these years, but if you set up Google My Business and you start getting reviews on there, you will come up eventually. I think that's the key point. Is set up Google My Business so that when they search, you'll come up. And I learned that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep that in mind for
Yeah,
my business too. I'm still in the very early stages. I'm still kind of operating under the radar.
right,
I mean,
right,
I'm
right.
official, but I'm still kind of just like lurking in the shadows, trying to take a client on here and there. Because I'm also still working full time. I don't have any dreams of being a full time filmmaker because I really like the security of having
Right.
my full time job while also getting to pick and choose what projects I work on for my business. But I understand that it is your dream to become a full time filmmaker. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like a very indecisive person, as you could probably tell. Like I'm literally, I just can't like pick one thing. It's a problem. Like I always have like a paper next to me with all these like business ideas. I'm like, I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
make an ebook. I'm gonna do websites. Like it's always just like, I don't know. I don't know what my problem is, but that's literally always what I've done since I graduated was just like have all these skills and just each one is its own thing to me, but I like all of them equally. Like I don't know. I don't know if I would ever do it full time. Like it would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I know that I always have the other stuff to fall back on if something never didn't work out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's always nice to have so many talents too, because like you said, you can have kind of a safety net of if, photography's slowing down, videography will pick up, or if
That's
those two are slowing
exactly
down,
it.
graphic design will pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. What prompted you to get started in the real estate niche? I know someone contacted you from that, but it seemed like that stuck, and you're now kind of um, surrounding your business around this idea of working in the real estate industry. Um, I didn't realize that this was a profitable industry for creatives. How has do you plan on staying in this niche, and what's your experience in this particular niche been like for you?
Um, it's it's definitely challenging having a full-time job because just the way the industry is, they'll want to shoot yesterday type thing. It's
Yeah.
always you gotta drop whatever you're doing, whatever plans you had, no more. Like you're going to the
Mm-hmm.
shoot now, and they want the pictures yesterday. So like I kind of over the years like realized that, and now I get the pictures back like next day because I
Wow,
know
that's a
that
quick turnaround.
well, it's literally so much competition here in New York too. Everybody's a real estate photographer here, so you kind of just gotta like keep up with the competition. So I make sure that I get all my stuff next day, or if it's like a complicated Photoshop thing, I might take like 2 days, but you know, it's you got to be quick about it. But I don't know exactly if I want to stay in this niche. Like I've realized now that you can make a lot more money doing other stuff. Like I just did an event. It was like a charity event, and it was totally like outside of what I would do. And it was actually through my friend that I work with that I hired. He it was his client, and he was doing a wedding and he reached out and he's like, "Can you do this for me?" And I was like, I don't really shoot people. Like, I shoot
Right.
houses, things that are not moving.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I did one for him like back last year, and he could tell that I was like nervous shooting people because you have to like go up and be like, "Hi, do you want a photo?" And I'm just like
Yeah.
not the type of person, like I get shy. I'm like, "Oh, don't judge me,"
Right,
you
right.
know. So this time, however, I knew he wasn't gonna be there, and it would just be me. And I was like, I need to just get out of my comfort zone because you never grow in your comfort zone. So I like told
That's
myself,
true.
I'm just like, be somebody you're not. Like, just be confident, go in there and like do the damn thing. So I I did. Like I was like a social butterfly. I got so many like business cards from there. I was like, oh my god. Like I don't know. Like I don't know what happened, but I was like proud of myself for like taking it on and like going through with it, even though it's not normally something I do. But now I know I can do that, and it's just shows once again that even if it's something you don't know, you can learn and you can research, and that's basically how you learn is by doing. And I'm happy to like start expanding even more not just staying in the real estate, even though I do like that the best, to be honest. Like, I love shooting the houses, and it just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of stuck, I guess, because I kept getting referrals in that area.
Mm-hmm.
I do kind of get like one-off projects here and there, like I did like a medical thing, but for some reason the real estate just kind of stuck, and I do like that the best. But at least now I know, I could do people, and plus I had that from the first job out of college. Like, I
Right.
shot so many different commercials, like restaurants, food. So if somebody came at me today and asked me like, "Oh, can you do this?" I'd be like, "Yeah," because I already knew how to do it back then.
Yeah, definitely. I think that a common thread in your story is just learning by doing, fake it till you make it, and being just fearless, like just jumping into the opportunities. And it's yielded amazing results for you. You have an extensive portfolio. You have so many skills and capabilities in all of these areas that, your business could keep scaling and scaling and scaling because of the talents that you have. And you have the ability to, you've kind of unlocked the power of tapping into your network and not being afraid to reach out to people and have them join your team. So I think that you're going to be unstoppable as far as that's concerned. What would you say, your advice is for somebody who's just starting out, who wants to get started in video, is listening to this podcast and thinking about it, maybe thinking about the real estate niche, but most importantly, doesn't have any background in video and wants to get started?
I would say definitely don't procrastinate and just go out and do it. Like, just don't overthink it. Put in the time. Like, watch tutorials. Like, if you have full-time filmmaker, definitely watch, their videos. But for me, like, learning is doing. So, I would say if you're interested in making a video, reach out to a local business and say, "Hey, I'm just starting out, can I create a video for you?" And even if that's not a possibility, you could always just practice on your own house, or, I don't know, just start reaching out to people and see where that goes. But I think it's, don't overthink it, because it will work out if you do good work. Like, as
Mm-hmm.
time proceeds, if you put in the effort and you put in the work behind the scenes, like I said, like, I would go home, go on YouTube, research for hours, and
Yeah.
that's kind of what helped me, because I never wanted to go into something like not knowing what I was doing. Like, I'd have the settings written down in my notes so I could refer. I would ask people, you know, and I think that's the biggest thing, is like just getting out there and doing it, and practicing. You could take a product from your house, like a supplement, and create a commercial that way. It doesn't have to be you going out and doing it. You could do it in your own bedroom. So
Yeah.
it's definitely like endless possibilities in this time. So I think you just have to have the confidence and like willpower to just actually do it. Just
Yeah.
try.
Just jump in. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody starts somewhere. You're now working three businesses or jobs, and you started with, a video where you added star wipes and, all these transitions and stuff. So
Some
everybody starts somewhere. It's a matter
yeah.
of just sticking with it, because it sounds like, the like you were saying, consistency is really important, because,
Hmm.
everybody can make, one good video, but can you make 10 or 12 good videos in a row? Just thinking about that, especially if you want to have a business, consistency is really important for obtaining clients, just for building your own personal brand within your business as well.
Right. Yeah. And that's I have to have my pictures a certain way. Like, if somebody's doing something for me, like I said, I'll tell them, like, shoot it this way, because I want to keep that image that I worked so hard for
Yeah.
consistent on my platforms. Because if you just kind of let it go astray, that's not gonna help you. So I think that's important too. Like, know what you want, and express that, and make sure you keep doing it, and it will pay off.
Absolutely. So, do you have any exciting projects coming up that you want to plug on the episode today?
Stay tuned. I'm definitely gonna do more probably of the event stuff, maybe some street style video. So that's definitely exciting for me because, you know, it's totally a different avenue, but I am all for it. Um, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I definitely do like creating nature videos on the side too, because there's a lot of parks here.
Mm.
And it's just like, you know, it's just a hobby of mine and a passion, and I do like just to take my drone out and just like make little cute videos. I don't know. It just adds to my portfolio too. Just to, you know, you don't want to go a long time without shooting too, because you'll be like, get a little
Yeah,
rusty, you know. Gotta
of
keep with
course.
it.
Of course, of course. And it's also nice to have, you know, videos that you make for yourself outside of videos that for clients. You know, just
Right.
those fun videos to add to your portfolio and just to have as your own thing. So we'll definitely stay tuned for that. Where can the viewers and listeners of this podcast find you?
I am on Instagram. It's li_proper properties, and on Facebook, it's just li proper properties. And then I have my design website where I have all my videos on there. It's melissaericksondesigns.com, so you could check out all my stuff there. And yeah.
Awesome. So I have one question about, because this is a podcast for, you know, female filmmakers and videographers. What is it like, you know, working in the real estate niche or working just, I guess, in Long Island too as a photographer, graphic artist, and videographer? Because, you know, the filmmaking industry is male dominated as it is, but from what I've heard, real estate especially is mostly male dominated. What's been your experience been like kind of navigating that space as a woman in the industry?
Yeah, it's all men, and then there's
Right.
me. So I'm used to working with guys. It's just it is what it is. But I would love to see more women come into this field because it's anybody could do it if they put their mind to it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's you just have to. It doesn't matter that it's like male dominated because it doesn't make them any better. It just I don't know why that there's not a lot of females doing it. It is like weird to think about like why isn't there more females
Yeah.
in real estate? Because I don't know. I mean, I would like to see it, but I just don't know where they are. It would
Well,
be I don't know
hopefully,
anybody else.
yeah, I was gonna say, hopefully, maybe this podcast can help you find more. If you're listening, you know, go follow Melissa's Instagram and her pages so you guys can connect. Because I'm wondering where all of those real estate female videographers are as well.
Yeah, it would be nice to see more pop up.
Absolutely, because then maybe you can, if they're in Long Island, you can hire them, and you'll have a girl gang, and you guys will go on the
I
road.
would
And
I would love that. I literally would love that.
awesome. So my final question for you, Melissa, is how can the viewers and listeners of this podcast support you as a filmmaker?
You could just follow me, you know, comment, like, I'll definitely follow back. I definitely like having a community, like, on my platform. I got most of my followers from Full Time Filmmaker, which is awesome because, you know, I do follow a couple girls on there, and it's cool to see, you know, it's not just males. Like, I mean, there are some out there, and it's great to see what they're doing. It's amazing work, it's inspiring, and
Yeah.
that's what I want to surround myself with at the end of the day. Just like constantly going there, like, wow, like this is amazing. So,
Awesome. It makes all the difference as a creator, kind of constantly being in that cycle of being inspired and then also inspiring others. I think as a creator, I know it really fuels me to continue with this craft because this industry can be tough. It's long hours. It's a
yeah,
lot of
it
you
is.
know, there's a lot of criticism in the industry about, you know, your personal work. You're putting a part of yourself in every project that you work on, so it's a demanding industry, but I think it's so rewarding. And if we had, you know, more of a network of women specifically, I think that, you know, we could really help evolve the industry for the better.
Yeah, and support each other. I think that's like number one.
Awesome. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for coming on the episode today. Our conversation was great. I had a great time learning about a new niche, and honestly, you're someone I admire. The whole triple threat thing really, sets you apart from other guests that we've had on the show and other, women and other individuals in the industry that I've met. So thank you for sharing your story today.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor.
Amazing. So, as usual, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. Bye!